So it's Father's Day and I am going to make lunch for my dad. So I have a tuna steak here and I'm going for the entree. I want to have like a seared sesame seeded tuna, and usually they're like raw inside and it's a sashimi grade salmon, a sashimi grade tuna, but unfortunately they only had just a normal tuna steak. So I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to have it obviously more cooked than usual, but it should be nice. And I want to chop that or cut that up and then have that on top of like a cold soba noodle. So just a very simple light entree. So I've got my pan heating up with some neutral oil, vegetable oil, and some sesame oil for some flavor. And I'm just gonna come along and coat my tuna steak with my black and white sesame seeds and a bit of salt and pepper. Now I've just pressed some garlic with the side of my knife because I'm gonna add that to the oil just to have a little bit of garlic flavor in there. So next for the soba noodle kind of sauce, I have some Japanese dashi, and this is like a soup powder. So it is bonito flavored seasoning. So that's like a dried kind of fish flake flavor, which is the base of this, that simple, like lots of Japanese soups. So I'm gonna mix this with some water and some soy sauce and mirin, which is like a sweeter Japanese vinegar. Now this color is actually from the pan I cooked the tuna in. I just threw some water in it, mixed it together, and just poured it in just for that extra flavor. So all you do is you just get your dashi powder and just pop it in your water. And it has the instructions of how much water to use here. It says 600 ml. So you just want to bring it to a little bit of a simmer for about 5 minutes, and then I'm actually going to refrigerate it so it's cool, because I quite like the cold soba noodle flavor. Now that is so good. The flavor in there, that really, really nice kind of fishy flavor, and also that little bit of sweetness from the mirin is really nice. So look at that beautiful piece of tuna and this nice soba sauce. So I'm just gonna refrigerate both of these, and I've got about an hour until everyone turns up. So that should be enough time to make it nice and cool for serving. And the only other thing I have to do is I've got my soba noodles over here, which I've got to cook just before they're served. So now that my entree stuff is all sorted, except for the soba noodles, I am just gonna prep up for my steaks. So I have got three nice Scotch fillets, and I'm just gonna cook them in some butter, and I've got some rosemary, some herbs, and I'm gonna do a nice red wine sauce. So I've got some homemade chicken stock, not homemade chicken stock, I've got some homemade beef stock, some more herbs, some red wine, and I'm just gonna prep up my garlic and my shallots now, just because I'll obviously cook that when Dad and some of the family are here, and it's gonna be easier if I can chuck everything instead of like chopping and talking at the same time. So yeah, gonna prep all that, and then I'm pretty much done, just gotta set the table. So I've just got some garlic cloves here that I've crushed with the side of my knife, and I have one shallot and just two garlic cloves finely chopped, which I'll be used as the base for my red wine sauce. Actually, one last thing I forgot, so I want to chop up my Brussels sprouts. They're gonna have some air fried Brussels sprouts as a side. So I've still got about an hour until I'm going to cook these Scotch fillets, but I'm just going to take them out of their vacuum sealed packages, and I'll actually just pop them on some paper towel, some pepper and salt. It just helps to get a flavor and to take any of that extra moisture out of them that they've been sitting in the packet.
So with everyone there, I just thought it might be a bit easy to do a voiceover. So for my soba noodles, I just cooked them in some boiling water for a few minutes, popped them in these cute little bowls, or these Japanese style bowls, with some of that nice refrigerated sauce. I chopped up my tuna and just popped it on top of those noodles, and then I just chopped these are just some green onions from my garden, just add a nice kind of light oniony flavour. And yeah, there we go. That went down well, now let's get on to the main. So for my Brussels sprouts, I really like to just kind of boil them for about a minute, no longer. I don't want them cooked, I just want to soften them, because I'm going to air fry them here. I like to add some olive oil, pepper and salt, sometimes a bit of butter if I'm feeling like it, a little bit of honey, and some balsamic vinegar. Just adds a nice flavour. Now to cook my steaks. Remember, I've peppered and salted them on both sides. I'm cooking them on a high heat. So I want to get a nice crust on one side, and then flip them over, add butter, that garlic that I'd pressed with the side of my knife, and then the important thing to do is make sure to really give these a good baste with the butter. We want to get that flavour of the rosemary and the garlic all over them. My little other trick here I find is that I really like to finish them in the oven. You can keep them just in the pan, but I find if I pop them in the oven for about 4 minutes, if it's a thick steak, maybe about 4.5 to 5, I find they cook really well each time and they're perfect medium rare. Now as soon as they come out, you want to take them off, put them in a separate bowl, and here I've just covered it with some foil because I'm going to do a red wine sauce and that can take a little while. Around that time too, I find the Brussels sprouts are usually ready, so I pop them to the side and I've popped some frozen chips into the air fryer. For the red wine sauce, I'm going to pop in my chopped onion and my chopped garlic and just soften that a little bit in that existing butter. And then I'm going to add my red wine in. So I'd say I'm probably adding in about 1/3 of a bottle, and I want to really kind of simmer that down and reduce it a little bit. I also like to add in some tawny port and optionally some caramelized balsamic vinegar. So this just helps to add a bit of sweetness and balance out all the flavors. To continue adding flavor here, I'm going to add a bay leaf, and I've got some thyme from the garden. I also have some homemade beef stock here. I'm going to add that, and that's already very reduced, so that's why it's quite thick. I'm also going to add a little bit of just store-bought chicken stock. Next, I'm going to strain out. So after about 5-ish minutes of simmering down, I'm going to strain it into another pot. This again is optional. It's going to look nicer and be cleaner. And I'm just going to strain it again until it is nice and thick. And there we go. I like to chop up my steaks so people can pick up what they want, and also have everything on bowls. So I'm just letting everyone here kind of build their own plate and do what they want. But yeah, there we go.
So the Father's Day lunch is all done. Thank you for watching this little cooking vlog. We had a great lunch. Dad and my aunt loved it. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the video and see you next time.